The old Apache mother and her two daughters begged, "Please help us tonight. We'll do anything." He had been traveling alone for several days, moving from town to town, sometimes offering small help to those he met on the way, sometimes just resting by the side of the road. Tonight, though, he felt more tired than usual. His boots were dusty, his bag heavy, and his mind weighed down by thoughts of the long journey ahead. As he walked, he noticed a small, worn shack on the edge of the road. It looked abandoned at first glance. The paint had faded, the wooden planks creaked in the wind, and the little porch sagged under years of neglect. But then he heard it, a faint sound that made him pause. It was soft, almost like a whisper at first, and then it grew louder. A woman's voice, trembling, carrying words that spoke of fear and desperation. Curious and concerned, Alex slowed his steps. He approached the shack cautiously, making sure his shadow did not frighten anyone inside. He could see the dim outline of three figures in the doorway, an elderly woman and two young girls, perhaps 10 and 12 years old. Their clothes were worn and dusty, and their hair was tangled from days of travel. Their eyes were wide, reflecting a mixture of fear and hope. The old woman stepped forward, her voice shaking as she called out, "Please, sir, we need help tonight. We have nowhere to stay. We have nothing to eat. Please, we'll do anything if you just help us tonight." But something about her tone, the way she clutched her daughters close, and the fear in the girl's eyes told him this was not a lie. This was real. These people were in trouble and they were desperate. He took a careful step forward, keeping his hands visible so they would know he meant no harm. "It's late," he said softly. "Why are you out here alone? Where is your home?" One of them clutched a small, worn blanket around her shoulders, trying to keep warm. The other hugged her knees, looking down at the ground, silent but clearly listening to every word. There was fear in their faces, yes, but also a quiet strength. Despite everything, they had survived. He felt a tug at his heart. He had seen many people suffer in his travels, but the desperation here felt immediate, raw, and urgent. The old woman noticed his hesitation and stepped closer. "Please," she whispered, her voice breaking. "We don't ask for much. Just tonight a place to rest, a little food. We will do anything to show our gratitude." His instincts told him to be careful, but his heart told him to help. He knelt slightly to meet their gaze, trying to offer reassurance. "All right," he said quietly. "Come with me. I can find you a safe place to rest for tonight." Alex noticed the tenderness in the mother's hands as she gently guided her daughters, making sure they stayed together. It was clear she had been through much, but her love for her children remained strong and unwavering. As they walked together toward the small town, Alex asked gently, "What are your names?" "These are my daughters, Leela and Anna." They needed shelter now. They reached a small inn on the edge of town. Alex explained their situation to the innkeeper, a kind middle-aged man who had seen many travelers in his years. The innkeeper hesitated at first, unsure about taking in strangers so late at night, but Alex's insistence and the visible exhaustion of the family softened his heart. He agreed to give them a small room for the night. Maya thanked him with a quiet dignity that moved Alex deeply. She led her daughters inside, carefully helping them take off their dusty shoes and coats. The girls collapsed onto the small beds, their bodies finally free from the weight of the day's journey. Maya sank into a chair, closing her eyes for a moment, her hands folded in her lap. Alex watched them for a moment, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. He knew their troubles were far from over, but tonight, at least, they were safe. He took a seat across from Maya and asked gently, "Can you tell me what happened? How did you end up on the road like this?" "Then sickness took many of our people. My husband, he didn't survive. I couldn't stay there anymore, not with the girls. I had to keep them safe." Alex brought them some food from the inn. He made sure the girls ate first, helping them sip warm broth and nibble on bread. Their small smiles were enough to fill the room with a sense of warmth and relief. Maya watched quietly, her gratitude evident but unspoken, her eyes following Alex as he moved around making sure they were comfortable. As the night deepened, the wind howled outside the windows, and the stars began to shimmer in the dark sky. Inside the room there was a quiet peace. The girls were finally resting, their bodies curled under blankets. Maya sat quietly, speaking in soft tones about her hopes for a better day, for a place where they could rebuild their lives. Alex listened, realizing that helping this family was about more than just a night of shelter. It was about giving them hope, even when the world outside had been harsh and unkind. He felt a sense of responsibility and care that went beyond simple kindness. Hours passed, and the town grew quiet. Alex stayed nearby, making sure the family was safe, thinking about what could be done to help them longer term. He knew the road ahead for them would be difficult, but tonight they had found a moment of safety, a pause in their long struggle. Before he finally allowed himself to rest, Alex looked at Maya, who had quietly thanked him once again. He nodded, a silent promise passing between them. Tonight they were safe, and tomorrow he would find a way to help them more. Outside, the wind carried the quiet sounds of the desert night, the rustle of leaves and the distant call of an owl. Inside, a small room glowed with a warmth born of human kindness, a temporary refuge from the hardships of the world. For Maya and her daughters, this night was a gift. For Alex, it was a reminder of why he traveled, why he helped, and why even in the darkest times, compassion could shine like a small but steady flame. The night stretched on, peaceful and calm. For the first time in many days, Maya felt safe. Her daughters slept soundly, their breath steady, their small hands still entwined. And Alex, sitting quietly, watched over them, knowing that sometimes the simplest acts of kindness could change a life. By the time dawn approached, the first rays of sunlight peeked over the horizon, casting golden light across the room. Maya and her daughters would face challenges ahead, but tonight they had survived. And sometimes, survival itself was the first step toward hope. Morning arrived slowly, painting the sky with gentle shades of pink and gold. Maya stirred in the small room, stretching her tired limbs, while Leela and Anna remained curled under their blankets, still half asleep. The warmth of the room, the quiet comfort and the small sense of safety from the night before had given them a brief respite from the hardships they had endured for so long. Alex had already risen before the sun, moving quietly so as not to disturb them. He had walked outside, taking a deep breath of the crisp morning air. The streets were starting to come alive as the town slowly stirred, shopkeepers opening doors, the soft clip-clop of horse hooves, and the murmur of neighbors greeting one another. Yet even in this lively atmosphere, he couldn't stop thinking about Maya and her daughters. Their situation was dire, and one night of safety wasn't enough. They needed more food, shelter, and perhaps most importantly, a chance to start rebuilding their lives. Returning to the inn, Alex prepared a small breakfast. He brought warm bread, a few eggs, and a small jug of milk. As he set the tray down, Maya stirred, her tired eyes lifting to meet his. "Good morning," she said softly, her voice still thick with sleep. "Good morning," Alex replied gently. "I brought you something to eat. You need to regain your strength." They hadn't had a proper meal in days, and even the simple breakfast looked like a feast to them. They thanked Alex shyly, and Maya's eyes softened as she watched her daughters eat. The relief on her face was quiet but profound, a mother seeing her children nourished after so many days of struggle. After breakfast, Maya began to share more about their journey. Her voice was calm now, steady but tinged with sorrow. She spoke of their village, nestled near the desert where her family had lived for generations. The drought had begun slowly at first, fields drying, rivers running low, crops failing, but it soon turned into a crisis. The water supply dwindled and the soil cracked under the relentless sun. Food became scarce and families began to fall ill. Maya's husband had tried to provide, but eventually sickness claimed him. Left alone, Maya knew she had to protect her daughters at all costs. Alex listened quietly, nodding. He had encountered hardship in his travels, but hearing a mother recount the loss of her home and family left a deeper impression than any story he had encountered before. He could see the quiet strength in Maya, a determination that had kept her moving forward even when everything seemed lost. The girls, sensing the gravity of their mother's words, remained silent. Leela clutched her small blanket and Anna held her hands together, looking down at the floor. Even in the quiet moments, Alex could sense their resilience. They had survived long enough to reach safety, and that was no small feat. After their meal, Alex suggested they take a short walk through the town. "Fresh air might help you feel better," he said kindly, "and it will give you a chance to see the town a little." But after seeing the gentle way Alex spoke and the kindness in his eyes, she agreed. Together, they walked slowly down the dusty streets. The town had a few small shops, a general store, and a blacksmith working outside his forge. Children played quietly near a fountain, and neighbors exchanged greetings. It was a normal town with the usual sounds and sights, yet for Maya and her daughters everything felt new and foreign. As they walked, Alex made small talk, asking gentle questions about their journey. "How long have you been traveling?" he asked. "3 days," Maya replied. "We've been walking since dawn, stopping only when we could rest safely for a little while. Most nights, we had to sleep under the stars. The wind was cold, and the sand would blow into our faces, but we kept going. I couldn't let the girls suffer any more than necessary. I have to protect them. They are my world now." The girls' faces brightened, and even Maya allowed herself a small, thankful smile. Returning to the inn, they shared the food quietly in their room. The girls laughed softly as they ate, the sound like music after so many days of silence. Maya watched them, her heart full but heavy. She had survived so much, and yet she knew their journey was far from over. They would need help, real help, to find a place to live, to eat, to feel safe again. Alex sat with them after the meal, thinking carefully. "Tonight you were safe," he said softly, "but you cannot stay like this forever. We need to find a more permanent solution. There are people in town who can help you. You just need to trust me and I will guide you." "I trust you," she said. "I don't have any other choice and I see your heart is good. But what if people are not kind? What if we are turned away? You do not have to face this alone anymore." For a moment she allowed herself to feel peace, a rare and precious gift after so many days of fear and struggle. Later in the afternoon, Alex went out to speak with some townsfolk, seeking guidance on where the family could receive further assistance. He visited the small church, where a kind priest listened to his story and offered to help. He spoke to a local family known for taking in travelers in need, and they promised to provide food and shelter if necessary. Slowly, a plan began to form, a way to help Maya and her daughters not just for one night but for the days ahead. When Alex returned to the inn, he shared the news. Maya's eyes widened, a mixture of relief and disbelief. "People, they will help us?" she asked softly. "Yes," Alex replied. "You will have a safe place to stay, food to eat, and someone who can guide you. It will not be easy, but you will not be alone anymore. Tomorrow we begin a new journey, a better one." He realized that compassion, even in small measures, could change lives. Tonight, he had witnessed it firsthand. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the dusty streets, Alex and Maya spoke quietly about the next steps. He reassured her that the family would not face the journey alone, and that help was closer than they had imagined. Maya felt a sense of hope she had not experienced in weeks, and the girls, sensing the change in their mother, felt it too. The sky turned a deep shade of blue, and the first stars appeared, twinkling gently. Alex prepared the room for the night, making sure blankets were warm and the small stove was ready to provide heat. Maya tucked her daughters into bed, kissing their foreheads softly. "Sleep well," she whispered. "Tomorrow will be better." The next morning, the sunlight poured gently into the small room where Maya and her daughters had spent the night. The soft golden light seemed to promise a fresh start, but Maya could not shake the unease that had been growing in her chest. Even though Alex had promised help and a safe place, the world outside was still unpredictable. She had learned to be cautious. Trust was something earned slowly, especially after the struggles she had endured. Leela and Anna woke with small smiles, stretching and rubbing their eyes. They had slept better than they had in days, and the warmth of the blankets and the quiet comfort of the room made them feel safe, if only for a little while. Maya watched them, her heart swelling with a mixture of relief and concern. Her daughters were resilient, yes, but they were still children, vulnerable and dependent on her for protection. Alex came into the room quietly, holding a small bundle of papers and letters he had collected from the townsfolk. "Good morning," he said softly. "I have some news. I spoke to the local church and a few families in town. They are willing to help, but we need to be careful. Some people are kind and some may not understand your situation. We need to approach this carefully." Not again. To the girls, this was a world full of wonders they had rarely seen. Alex guided them to a small office in the center of town, where the local sheriff, a stern but fair man named Mr. Jenkins, worked. He had heard of the family from the townsfolk and was initially suspicious. The sight of strangers in town, especially a mother with 2 young daughters, raised questions in his mind. "Good morning, Sheriff," Alex said politely. "I brought you Maya and her daughters. They are in need of help. They have been traveling for days after losing their home to drought and illness. I assure you, they mean no harm and they only seek a safe place for a while. We cannot simply take in strangers. What proof do you have that they are who you say they are? What if they cause trouble or take advantage of the town's generosity? We have no home, no money, nothing but each other. We will not cause trouble, I swear it." Alex spoke again. "Sheriff, I understand your concerns, but I will take responsibility for them. I will guide them and ensure they follow the rules. They are just a family in need. If any trouble arises, you will be sent back. For now, we have help, and we will make it through." Finally, there were people who understood their plight and were willing to help them without judgment. Over the next few hours, Maya and her daughters began to settle into their temporary home. Mrs. Thompson showed them the small room they would stay in for the next few days, a clean space with soft blankets and a small stove. Leela and Anna explored the room with quiet excitement, their laughter soft but joyful. Maya watched them with a smile, allowing herself a rare moment of relief. Yet even amidst this comfort, Maya could not ignore the tension in her chest. She had learned through experience that safety could be fragile, and she needed to remain vigilant. "Girls," she said softly, "we must be careful. We can trust some people, but not everyone. Always stay close to me and do not wander." Alex spent the day arranging practical matters for the family. He spoke with Mrs. Thompson about food deliveries, contacted a local doctor to check on their health, and ensured that the girls would have access to basic education while they stayed in town. Maya observed quietly, her heart swelling with gratitude. This man, a stranger at first, had become a lifeline for them in a world that had been harsh and unforgiving. As the afternoon sun dipped lower in the sky, a new challenge arose. A group of townsfolk gathered outside the charity office, curious about the newcomers. Some whispered kindly, offering assistance, but others stared with suspicion. Maya felt the familiar pang of anxiety rise in her chest. She had learned long ago that strangers could be cruel, that prejudice and fear often clouded judgment. She held her daughters close, her protective instincts kicking in. One of the curious onlookers approached Mrs. Thompson. "Who are these people?" he asked sharply. "How do we know they are trustworthy? What if they are here to cause trouble? I will take responsibility for them." As evening approached, the family returned to their temporary room. The girls were tired but content, their small bodies finally free from the strain of constant travel. Maya prepared a simple meal with the supplies provided by Mrs. Thompson, and they ate quietly, savoring the food that had been so scarce for days. After the meal, Maya tucked the girls into bed, kissing their foreheads gently. "Sleep well," she whispered. "Tomorrow we continue and things will get better." He knew the family still faced challenges, prejudice, suspicion, and the harshness of the outside world, but for now they had a moment of peace. As night fell, Maya lay awake, thinking about the journey that had brought them here. She had faced drought, sickness, and loss, yet she had survived. She had her daughters, and now, with Alex's help, she had a chance to rebuild. Hope, she realized, was not a luxury. It was a necessity. It was what had carried them through the darkest nights and would carry them forward into the days to come. Outside, the wind whispered gently through the trees, carrying the quiet sounds of the town settling for the night. Inside, the small room glowed with warmth and light, a sanctuary in a world that had too often been cruel. Maya held her daughters close, feeling their steady breathing and the quiet rise and fall of their small bodies. For the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to feel safe. And in that moment, she understood something important. Courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to keep moving forward despite it. She had survived, she had protected her daughters, and now, with the kindness of a stranger and the support of a community, she could finally begin to hope again. The next morning, the sunlight streamed gently into the small room where Maya and her daughters had spent another peaceful night. For the first time in days, the air felt calm and filled with possibilities. Maya stretched her arms and looked at Leela and Anna, who were waking slowly, rubbing their eyes and stretching in their small beds. Their faces were brighter than yesterday, the shadows of exhaustion from endless travel softened by rest and safety. Alex entered the room quietly, carrying a small basket filled with bread, cheese, and fresh fruit. "Good morning," he said with a warm smile. "I brought breakfast for all of you. Today we begin taking more steps to make sure you are safe for longer." Even small gestures, a slice of bread, a piece of fruit, felt like treasures after so many days of hardship. The simple warmth of the room, the sound of laughter, and the smell of food created a feeling of normalcy they had not known in a long time. After breakfast, Alex spoke with Maya privately. "I have arranged for you and the girls to stay with a local family for a few weeks," he explained. "They have offered a room and meals. Meanwhile, I have spoken with a teacher who can help the girls continue learning. You will be safe, and you will have the support you need. Hope is something you carry within yourselves," he said. "I only helped you see it again." The girls' eyes widened in delight. For the first time in weeks, they had a room of their own, a place that felt like home. Maya unpacked a few belongings, careful to keep what little they had organized. She helped the girls wash their faces and change into clean clothes, small acts that restored a sense of dignity and routine. Leela twirled in her new dress, while Anna examined a small bouquet of flowers from the garden. Maya smiled, feeling the heavy weight of worry lift slightly from her shoulders. Alex stayed with them, helping to arrange meals and explaining the plan for the days ahead. "You will have food, clothing, and a safe place to sleep," he said. "You will also have people to help with any problems that come up. You do not have to face anything alone anymore. I will do everything I can to protect them, and I will teach them to be strong, just as you have helped me find strength again." Maya worked with Mrs. Alvarez to help around the house, preparing meals and cleaning, grateful for the stability and safety they now enjoyed. Despite the comfort, Maya remained cautious. She knew the world could still be unforgiving, and she wanted to ensure her daughter's safety at all times. Yet with each passing day, she felt a sense of hope growing stronger, a belief that perhaps their lives could finally begin anew. One evening, as the sun dipped low over the horizon, Alex visited the family. He had brought letters from townsfolk offering continued support and supplies for the coming weeks. Maya sat at the small table with the girls beside her, reading each letter aloud. Each message spoke of kindness, generosity, and a desire to help. Tears filled Maya's eyes, not from sorrow but from relief and gratitude. "People really care," Alex said softly, seeing her emotions. "Even when the world feels harsh, there are those who will help. You are not forgotten. But now I know that kindness exists, and we will hold on to it." For the first time in weeks, they were not running, not hiding, not fearing what would come next. They were simply living. Over the next few weeks, the family settled into their new routine. Maya learned to trust Alex and the townsfolk who had helped them. Leela and Anna grew more confident, their laughter more frequent, their curiosity boundless. Alex checked in regularly, making sure everything was going smoothly and that they had what they needed. The town, once unfamiliar and intimidating, began to feel like a community, a place where they could rebuild their lives. One afternoon, Maya and Alex walked through the town together. The streets were lively, children playing, merchants selling goods, and neighbors greeting one another. Maya felt a sense of belonging she had not known in years. She glanced at Alex and said softly, "I never imagined that a stranger's kindness could change so much. You have given us more than safety, you have given us hope." She wanted to find work, contribute to the town, and ensure her daughters had a stable life. Leela and Anna began attending school regularly, learning new skills and forming friendships. Maya watched them with pride, knowing that the journey had been long and difficult, but that the worst days were behind them. One evening, as the family sat together in their cozy room, Maya held her daughters close. "We have been through so much," she said softly, "but we survived, and now we have a chance to live, to laugh, and to grow. We are safe and we have hope. I like our home." The journey had not been easy, but through courage, compassion, and the kindness of strangers, Maya and her daughters had begun a new chapter in their lives. As night fell, the family gathered together, sharing stories, laughter, and dreams of the future. The stars twinkled brightly outside the window, a reminder that even in the darkest times, light could still be found. Maya held her daughters close, feeling the steady rhythm of their breathing, and for the first time in months, she allowed herself to rest completely, knowing they were safe, loved, and free from fear. The days continued to pass, each one building on the safety and hope that had been established. Maya found work helping with the local gardens, contributing to the community, and learning skills that would allow her family to thrive. Leela and Anna excelled in their studies, their confidence growing with every lesson. Alex continued to check in, always ensuring that the family had support and guidance, his presence a steady reassurance in their new lives. Through it all, Maya learned that the world was not only harsh, it was also filled with kindness, generosity, and the power of human connection. She had faced unimaginable challenges, yet she had survived, guided by love, courage, and the compassion of those who had chosen to help. In the evenings, as the sun set over the quiet town, Maya often sat by the window, watching her daughters play in the garden. She reflected on the journey that had brought them here, the hardships, the fear, the uncertainty, but also the moments of hope, the acts of kindness, and the unwavering determination to keep moving forward. For Maya, the future was no longer a distant, uncertain dream. It was a promise, a path filled with hope, safety, and the opportunity to build a life for herself and her daughters. And with Alex's help, the support of the community, and the strength that had carried her this far, she knew that they could face whatever came next together. The journey had been long and difficult, but at last, Maya and her daughters had found what they had been seeking all along: safety, hope, and the chance to truly live. And in that small, quiet town beneath the stars and the gentle desert sky, a new chapter had begun, one filled with promise, love, and the enduring power of human kindness.